So welcome back, Coffee with Carl. Actually, we have a Celsius, so Celsius with Carl is a little bit harder to say. But anyway, number 15. Number 15. I never thought I would make it this far, but here we are. So a lot of different things have happened in this last week. I have a couple of really cool new releases for you that I think you might be interested in. I do want to address a couple of things first. Number one, this is the last time you're going to see this series on this channel. So I still have all of these. They have been uploaded to the new channel. This will also appear over there. And then I'm going to be making these episodes private on this channel so that basically they'll only exist on that Coffee with Carl channel. I know it wasn't the most popular thing that I've done, but there is a reason behind it, and I need you to kind of trust me. I might bring it back, I might not, but we'll see. So anyway, I always reserve the right to be wrong, because that tends to happen more often than I'd care to admit. The other thing that I want to address is, you know, I feature a lot of expensive stuff on this channel, and this kind of comment has been happening since I began. And that is that I have no idea what the average person can afford. I've lost my way. I feature things that are too expensive, and, you know, how can I, well, you know. Now, the reason that I feature things that are expensive, number one, is that things that aren't cheap typically aren't cheap. So you often get what you pay for. There are other times where I'll feature something because it's doing something interesting. It's new and it's unique and it's something that I have never seen before. And oftentimes, as happens with cars, Mercedes is good for this. What you see in the Mercedes S-Class will usually work its way down to, you know, the more average vehicles as time goes on. Think about when they originally had their radar guided thing, so you would follow a certain distance of the car in front of you. Now we have that in our Ford Explorer. So, you know, sometimes when you see really high-end companies doing things, it might be a sense of what's coming down the line. The other thing is there are certain people out there who will just have the means to buy whatever they want. So I want to make sure that I cover them. And also, it's a good way to say, well, I'm going to save up. I'm going to buy something that I really, really love, and that's it right there. So it's the same reason that a show like Top Gear will show, you know, Paganis and Zondas and Ferraris and Lamborghinis and stuff like that. Not because they expect you to buy them, but because it acts as a good benchmark as to what else is out there. The other thing is, oftentimes, these smaller boutique brands that are really expensive are the ones that are releasing things very quickly because they're small batch, right? So they're getting a certain amount of fabric or a certain amount of leather, and that's what they're doing. So it's also particularly interesting. If I was just gonna say, hey, you know, Dickies came out with a new color of their same sweatshirt that they've had, nobody cares about that. So oftentimes it's because that is what's new and interesting in the industry. Regardless, I know there's always going to be people who just think that they know better than I do, and in which case I say, feel free to watch something else. Totally fine with it. Kato brand has released some 4-way stretch 17.5-ounce monster denim that is finally something you can wear. Now, often if you get something that's like 21 ounces or 25 ounces, they're leg breakers. They're really hard to wear, and I don't care who you are. If you're telling me that you're wearing these things right off the rip and you're comfortable, there's something wrong with you, I think. I can't wear these things. They're just crazy. But what Kato does that is unique of any other company out there is they will do selvage that's 4-way stretch. Now, yes, stretch denim exists. Stretch 2-way denim exists. Stretch 2-way selvage denim exists. But the only company to do stretch 4-way denim is Kato. So that's really cool. And I like the brand anyway. Made in the USA, always come out with something interesting. I featured last week their take on a military coat, and it was awesome. They are always doing stuff that's really cool. So this is the next evolution of what they're doing. Aught Design has released their MA1 Nighthawk Edition jacket, which is cool because it's reversible. So you have your typical sage or black, but then on the reverse, you have a really cool shadow camo kind of thing going on with a contrast collar and cuffs. I gotta tell you, I saw these in my email and I was like, ooh, maybe I need an M1A. These things are really sharp. And they're not really that expensive compared to some of the other brands that are out there like Cockpit USA or Eastman or what have you. And so if you need a cool looking bomber jacket, nobody really needs a cool looking bomber jacket, I guess. If you want a cool looking bomber jacket, here's a great example. Red Wing released these and I got them right away. Look what just came in the mail. These are crazy. And they're interesting. They're totally different than anything else I've ever gotten before for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think the most obvious is that BOA system. This is really, really cool. So you push it in, You can tighten it up. Like snowboard boots have had a similar thing for a while. You pull it out and they release. The other thing is, take a look, it's asymmetrical. So it's off to the side over here and not right on top of your foot. This is really, really interesting. And I think it's cool too how they put the knob there rather than right here, because sometimes if you wear something that has a bulky, you know, insignia or something right there, it could actually hang up on the ladder rung that you're standing on. So this will push against the edge of the A-frame ladder kind of thing, and it'll be uncomfortable. They put it on the side here so it gets out of the way. These are pretty interesting. They have a very unique sole that I've never actually seen before, but these have a little bit of a story behind them. So it says here, the Apex family represents the pinnacle of sustainability, style, and safety, great for indoor and outdoor trades, construction, and manufacturing. This hiker-style mid-duty boot is infused with sustainable materials and crafted for durability. So it offers best-in-class heat, gas, and oil resistance, chemical and abrasion resistance. The Vibram Re-Grip DLT outsole with EcoStep technology provides an excellent slip resistance and durability, while the aluminum safety toe protects with less weight and bulk. But of course, my big question is, yeah, that's nice that they did the sustainable thing and everything like that. I'm all for it, but do the boots actually perform? Are they any good at all? And I gotta tell you, I don't know. I mean, I just got these in and we're gonna find out. I'm gonna wear them and get back to you. But right off the rip, I gotta tell you, I like something that does a different, or has a different approach. And these are very different. This is kind of neat. I've never seen this before. There's like a tongue back here. Why that would be there, I don't know. It's connected to the pull strap. The tongue in the front is only like one-sided. This is a really, really unique boot. That's why I bought it, and I really want to check out what they're doing. Now, my prediction will be that, unfortunately, with synthetic materials, I mean, they are light. Look at this. These things are really light. And I thought these terrible Brunts were light. These are even lighter than that. So if you need to be light on your feet, say you're a roofer or something like that, then these might be great. But my worry is that what they're gonna do is not breathe. I think that they might just feel like you're wearing a pair of trash bags on your feet, because that's been my experience with synthetic materials. We're gonna find out though. I love the idea of pushing forward, trying something new, advancing technology, sure, you know, doing your part to save the planet, whatever, but we'll see what happens with those. Origin USA has come out with a collection called The Path, for those of you who like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, of course, they have their gi, and it looks like a couple rash guards here, and there's a bag. It's pretty cool looking, and I actually really like what they've done with this patch. It's very interesting. I'm keeping a close eye on Origin because I have a feeling this is gonna be a big year for them. They have some interesting things happening. I believe they're gonna get into the workwear space, so believe me, I will be the first person to tell you when I find out what they're up to. Samurai has come out with an incredible looking indigo dyed heavy winter flannel. This is a $390 flannel. So, hey, you, the guy who was commenting that these things are way too expensive, here you go. That's when you're supposed to leave the comment right there. These are, of course, they're beautiful, rope dyed. I mean, they better be for that price. I'm not gonna be buying one. I certainly have wanted to get a Samurai flannel just to see what all the hubbub's about, and especially to compare them to Ironheart, because I've heard that they are on the same level, if not a little bit better, which is a bold statement. I still think that the Ironheart Ultra Heavy Flannel is the best one I've ever seen, but that doesn't mean that it's the best one out there. So I'm always searching for the best of the best and seeing what components that $400 flannel has that's available to you in the $100 flannel. Speaking of Ironheart, they did something really interesting, and here's what it sounds like from the email that they sent out. It sounds like they actually have a few too many of their flannels left over. So what they've decided to do is overdye them. So they've overdyed them, I believe, with a sulfur dye. So you can actually get some of the patterns and looks that were available before, but now they're like in dark mode. It looks awesome. And the cool thing too is that because of this dye that's on the top of an existing pattern, as that dye wears off, the more vibrant threads and stuff like that will actually start to pop through. So that's gonna be interesting, because oftentimes, whether it's blue, it starts to kind of turn white, right? Or if it's brown, it might turn dark brown. But when you have something that's dark and it starts to turn bright, those are gonna be some really interesting high contrast fades, and it's gonna look amazing. I can't wait till somebody posts a picture of these several years down the line. The cool thing is too, it's the same price as the original ultra heavy flannels. So you can get these for about $350, $360 for the Western version. I gotta tell you, I was certainly tempted at picking up another Ironheart, although I'm not going to. A long time ago, Carhartt had a line called Super Ducks, and it was an outdoor hunting, kind of hiking type of line. And this was back in the 1930s. It then was discontinued and it came back recently, reinterpreted by Carhartt. However, Warehouse has done something really interesting. They've taken the 1930s style stuff, so like a barn coat type of deal, and they've made a reproduction of one. They call it their 1930s waterproof hunting jacket, and it is a direct homage to those old Super Ducks. I mean, it has, you know, the corduroy collar. It looks really, really cool. So this is not going to be for everybody, certainly, but if you're interested in that kind of older look, or maybe even searching for a vintage version of this, and you want a modern one that works just as well, this is a perfect opportunity to get one. The only downside is the price. I mean, it's, you know, you're making something based on Carhartt, and it's almost $600. I'm gonna start doing something a little bit different periodically here, and that's my weird pick of the week. And boy, do I have a doozy for you this time. The company's called Needles. It's called their String Easy pant. You can get it in a couple different colors. My favorite here is purple. It looks like these are pants made out of a Muppet. Honest to God, they are crazy looking. I don't know who would ever wear these, who could ever pull them off. Holy moly, are they interesting. Now, they kind of look cozy. I gotta tell you, like, if you're looking for like an alternative to a pair of sweatpants or something, maybe, but I mean, wearing these things out in public, unless you were maybe at Burning Man or in Portland, Oregon or something like that, people would look at you a little strange. They're just the craziest things I've ever seen. They're $375. Please, somebody get some of these and wear them and send me a picture. I gotta see it. Something I've been listening to this week especially is the new album from the band Hum. It's called Inlet. It's not exactly new, like it just came out. I believe it came out in 2020 or maybe 2021, something like that. But basically, this band was one of my favorites back in the 90s. And I remember listening to them when they had an album called Electra 2000. They came out with an album called You'd Prefer an Astronaut. That had the song that you may be familiar with called Stars. And then they had one final one, I think it was called Island of the Cheetah or something like that. Or maybe that was a song off of it. And that would basically came out in the end of the 90s, early 2000s. And then they went away. And everybody was like, hey, remember that band? They sounded like a combination of Black Sabbath, Dark Weezer, and maybe Typo Negative. It was like this really cool, interesting mix. Well, they came back, and it was almost like they took that 20-year span, saved up all the best riffs they had ever written, and came out with a blindingly good album called Inlet. Now, this is, if you like Hum, it's not going to be a surprise, but if you're new to it, it might be something that makes you kind of raise an eyebrow. And I think that what we're seeing here is kind of like the pinnacle of that sort of shoegaze style of rock. It's really, really great stuff. Some of the best guitar tones I've ever heard. They obviously have that very big wall of noise kind of thing coming at you. The drummer is fantastic, and sadly, the drummer died like a year after this thing was released. So it's probably also their final album, but what a way to leave us fans with one incredible record. The cool thing too is that they came out with it to no fanfare. They released it on Bandcamp and never did any press or anything like that. Didn't even release any lyrics for it, and then they just disappeared. They just like dropped it like an atom bomb, an amazing album after 20 years, and then just disappeared. In a way, I think that kind of makes it a little bit more special, but it's a fantastic record. It's $8 if you want to go and download the FLAC files, or you can stream it on Spotify or any of those places that you might stream music from. But man, Inlet from Hum, it is spectacular. Well, that's it for me. I have to go and actually film these terrible brunt boots spinning on a turntable now for that video that's going to be coming out, where I had Tyler wear these, a pair of Red Wings and a pair of Knicks, for a month each, and I want to get his take on it because I think an external opinion on good, better, best work boots is going to be actually more valuable than mine, who's a boot nerd and I understand these things. So somebody who's in his position, I think, is going to be very valuable. So either way, that's what I got to go do now. I'm really glad you guys joined me for this week's Coffee with Carl. Please remember, it's on the other channel now. You're not going to see it here next week. It's going to be over there. Come on over, join me, join the party. And I can tell you this, that the Coffee with Carl series is not going to be the only content that's going to be over there. I'm also using this as an opportunity to release some more low-key open format kind of stuff. So if I want to talk more about the progress with the Model T that I've been working on, or whatever, that's kind of the point, is that it's going to be a much more open, free, low-key space for people who like that kind of content, or people who are sort of like super fans, I guess. The ones who I know your name, Scott Owl. Some of you people out there have become like friends, even though we live in different countries altogether. So people like you, I'm happy to keep making this kind of content for. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.